Okay. So getting started here this morning, our antitrust laws say we can't talk about fees, but guess what? Today we're going to talk about fees. Yeah, Garrett, you got your hand up? Okay, all right. So okay. So yeah, our antitrust laws say we can't talk about fees. So today we're going to talk about fees, only we're not going to talk about what we charge. So I'll kind of help us guide us through that as we go through that today. We're going to be talking about how we structure our fees. For example, should we charge by the hour or use a flat fee? Or maybe you do both. We're also going to look at the type of services we offer to define our work. Maybe you do something special that's unique that somebody else doesn't do. So if you're unsure about what fee structures are best for you and how to adjust your services, I'm hoping that by the time we end this coffee chat, that you'll have a pretty good idea of what you plan to do, or maybe you want to make a change to what you're already doing. So to start with that, we always do this. What kind of coffee cup do you guys have this morning? I'm using the AIBD Summer Conference from Denver cup. Keith, what's to be? Oh, Bengals. Okay, I just saw the colors inside the B there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're struggling this year, but they still have a great team. Just got to pick up their defense a little bit. Their offense is great.
Yeah. Okay, great. I have a little icebreaker thing I want to do here. We're going to take a little survey here. When I bring it up, you guys should be able to see it on your screen and just pick one item that you'll see on the survey. Let me know if you're seeing it. Okay, just go ahead and, wow, there's already got, whoa, that's going fast. Okay, cool. I'm gonna let it go for just a couple more seconds here because people are still voting on here. Okay. Oh, still got some more going. Okay, looks like, oh, someone canceled out because I saw the bar go back. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the voting, and you'll be able to see the results here. Do you guys see it? You don't see the results?
I see it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we got 42% have picked per square foot. Next in line, 16% picked hourly plus expenses. We have 11% for percentage of construction costs. And then we have 5% for fixed rates and 0% for barter. Kind of threw that in there because I know some of us do that from time to time. Okay, great. Thank you. Per square foot, that was the highest one. Hang on a minute here. I want to start off with a question here, and you guys can kind of help me out here with this question. The question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of charging by square foot versus charging by the hour? And I just put that in the chat box there. So kind of help me out there. You guys, what pros and cons of charging by square foot or charging by the hour? Yeah, Dennis.
So I've learned that I can start the project by charging per square foot. It's allowed me to actually raise my prices considerably. But I start off with finding out what the square foot range is. I go with the higher portion of that range, and that's my proposal fee. But in the proposal, I always make room. If it goes up over, like, say, 150 square feet above what I proposed, well, you're going to get charged for it. There's going to be a change order, and that comes after a certain amount. And I think the pro to that is that it's a quick and easy way to price your project. my pricing just starts with that. I also do what I think the hours are going to be compared to what I'm charging per square foot. If it's going to be a complicated job as opposed to an easy job. If I'm doing 1,000 square foot rectangle with one hip or one ridge and then nothing else into it,
Uh-huh.
I actually can charge a lot less for that because most of that's already done. But if it's a 6,200 square foot hip roof that's got multiple angles, and I know it's going to have multiple angles and it's going to have all kinds of interesting features, then that square foot price is just what I start with, and I go from there. So,
Okay.
and I do barter if I'm dealing with a contractor and I need something done at the house. Oh heck yeah.
Cool. So when you say you add to the square foot, so in other words, you have a price, and then you realize, this is a more complicated thing. When you add to that, Dennis, are you saying you add to it hourly or
Well,
you add square foot number?
so I figure that on a any given project, probably over 2,000 square foot, that's got more than a rectangle and more than one roof line,
Mhm.
is going to take me probably close to 60 hours. And that includes like meetings, that includes, phone calls, emails, stuff like that. I've never really tried to break down how I do the hours. I just figure out how long I think it's going to take me to do stuff. And I'm kind of close. But if the square foot price, let's just say the square foot price is $1 and I'm charging 4,200 for a 4,200 square foot house, but I realize that it's going to take me about 100 hours to do this house because I'm going to have to deal with engineers on this. I have to deal with, I know I've noticed that the homeowners are needy and they're going to be contacting me a lot more, or, things like that. I might go, okay, well, what would my hourly price be? And how do I range that up so that my price is closer to that? So I know I can at least cover the majority of my hours profitably, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes.
So, and then sometimes I'll even look at, like, I might give a square, and I don't usually give the homeowner the square foot price. I give them a fixed price at the end. I just start with a square foot price.
Yeah.
That's how I start the process. So there might be a fixed rate like basements. If somebody wants to come and do a basement, that square footage for the basement is extra over and above the square footage for the whole house.
Mhm.
So, and the basement's included in that whole house price. So there's an extra for the basement because you have to do a bit more for a basement in this area.
Yeah.
If I know that we're going to do, a 5 or 6 car garage as opposed to the normal 2-car garage, I will charge accordingly, and I will add that into my price.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have other things that come in, but it always starts with a square foot price just to get me kind of an idea of where I want to be.
Yeah. I think I'm probably similar to that. I'm a little bit more reverse. What I do is I just kind of sit down and look at the project and start estimating hours and how much time I'm going to spend at each level, from concepts to preliminaries to architectural plans to structural plans, but even breaking down building sections. How much hours do I think I'm going to spend? How many building sections do I think I'm going to need on this project? Then once I'm all done, Dennis, once I'm all done with that, I kind of figured out what the price per hour is and what that comes up to. Then I go back and I figure, okay, what did that turn out to be per square foot? Just to kind of see where I'm at. And most of the time I find myself, I'm competitive with the market
Mhm.
by square foot. And that way I know, okay, I think I'm in the right range here for the hours that I estimated.
I've also learned that I don't want to be competitive with the market. I want to be above it. So, and that's where I'm at. And so I don't get every job that comes through, and I don't want every job.
Mhm.
Um, I would rather be, so my market, the square foot prices, my contractors get a marketing close to market square foot price because they bring in multiple jobs and they're
Uh-huh.
usually quicker and easier to deal with. But no, if I'm doing a custom home, I have a fairly high square foot price that I start with. and an even higher cost for my hours because
Mhm.
I know that they're going to take so much more.
Yeah.
I look to see which one I think that I'm going to work with. If I have a homeowner who comes in and they're already hard to deal with, I give them the, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be worth me having to deal with you price.
Yeah.
And that is usually about double what I would normally charge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have ways of weeding out people, or if I'm going to end up taking it, it's going to be worth my time.
Yeah,
So
I totally get that, and I totally respect that too. And you really need to do that because to pay for all those books you have behind you, man. But
my library is about half of that actually.
Okay. Anybody else? Something they can share on that?
Yeah, if I could
Yeah.
jump in real quick here, kind of on the same point as Dennis was saying, I do some kind of more specialty stuff with, or I guess where I'm going is I have a couple different prices per square foot where I have one for kind of your standard stick frame. And then for some of the more premium things like ICF and SIP construction that I do a lot of, I have a little bit higher price since again, they're more premium
Sure. Yeah.
product. And that kind of helps. And as Dennis said, it's funny. I've been battling that a little bit too with like, well, I think I'm scaring more people away when they hear my price, but at the same time, it's kind of where it's at with the market too. And it's kind of a good way to weed it out also. But yeah, it's something that's why I kind of stick with that because, you know, you can always use that lower price to say, hey, this is what we're doing for stick frame. And yes, with this premium product, you're looking at something different here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and I'm kind of watching the chat box there, Ethan, too, while you were talking. So I kind of apologize if I kind of pause there for a minute. But one of the things as you were talking there that I was thinking of too is that when you're pricing a project and you get to meet clients and you realize that you're dealing with different personalities with clients, I'll often say this to my wife. I'll say to her that I can do the same house for two different clients, but the price could be different just because of personalities that you're working with and how much time you feel like you need to have, you know, to spend with a client. So it can vary just by the client's personality as well, not just the project that you're going to design. Yeah, Larry.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning to you.
Well, part of my price is dependent on the governing authority. If I'm going to get in nowhere, okay, then yeah, I talked to a person the other day. I said, "Who's your governing authority?" He said, "Oh, we don't have any at all." I said, "No kidding. County, nothing." Okay, there's nowhere in America that I know of that doesn't have a governing authority of some sort. And some of them are over the top, and I adjust my price accordingly. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Doesn't make any sense to anyone else? You have multiple different crazy authorities, and you have some that are loose, or does anybody have any that are none?
Yeah. Well, the one that I haven't heard yet is percentages of construction costs. I haven't heard anyone really talk about that. That's a real thing. Why don't we use that more often?
How do you
I
figure it?
tried.
I think because it's harder to know what the price is going to be of the house.
Yeah.
We generally do square footage pricing for homes and hourly for remodels and additions.
Yeah. Thanks, Mary. I'm glad you brought it up about remodeling too, because I don't see how, I mean, that's a much more difficult way to price by square foot when you're doing a remodel project, I would think. Anyway. Anybody else?
How do you even know where you sit with the market? I mean, it's not like I want to find out I'm way above market because now I haven't gotten a job in 6 months.
Uh-huh.
You know, can't exactly stay in business that way. How do you figure that out?
Well, I don't really do research on that, Audrey, but I just know from colleagues and friends, and just over the years, a lot of my AIBD friends and such, you just have more private conversations with them on how things are going, and I just kind of get a feel for that and where they're at, and I kind of consider that as being where the market is at. Don't try Googling that because you won't get a good number.
Yeah, I just kind of asking around from different people all over the country. Honestly, I've heard some people that say you charge any more than $2 a square foot. That's just astronomically high. But I've heard other people charging as high as $12 a square foot.
Yeah, it does vary, Ethan, quite a bit.
Mhm.
Let me bring up another question here. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Have you ever had to modify your services to match a client's budget? And can you share an example without disclosing any fees? So we've talked about that. You do have to modify your services to match a client's budget. What are examples of that? I can kind of get it started here. There's times that I meet with an elderly couple, and I see that they're downgrading to a smaller home, and they're on Social Security, and I can tell from just talking with them that their funds are just not quite there, and I really have empathy for them, and I do what I can to help them with a price that puts them in a place where they can make the project come real for them. So I do make some adjustments. Yeah, Keith?
Yeah, as far as adjustments go, a lot of it to me it deals with like 3D renderings, visualizations, things like that. Like some people want the 2D plans, other people want the whole, walkthroughs or whatever. So I adjust that accordingly based on what the client wants. I give them basically options coming up front during, when I quote the project, asking if if these services are needed or not. Some just want the plain, black and white 2D stuff. Others want, the whole colored renderings, So I know some people, every project they do it, but some people still aren't interested in that, in my belief. But most are, I think. But that's kind of how I adjust my pricing as far as what the client wants and what they're willing to pay, I guess.
Yeah. How many of you have like team members where you work? And so you have different price quotes based on the people that are going to work on the project or help on the project. For example, you may be the leading designer and you have a fee because you're taking care of the design, the concepts, the creativity part of the project. And then you have a person helping you out with the drafting part of it. Does the drafts person make the same fee that you charge for doing the creative part of the work? Or is that a different?
I mean, in my experience, that should be done just to cover your drafter and be able to, match your overhead and make profit. I mean, the idea is to make profit.
Yeah.
So I would say yes on my end.
Yeah. Keeping them at the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Totally understand that. Yeah. And there is that. There's always going to be that.
I dropped my rate recently just for a drafting job because it just didn't seem right to charge the designer rates for just replicating stuff. And it was also combined with the fact that it was work that was referred from another designer who's been very kind in referring stuff when my work had slowed down and I wanted to service her client closer to what they were accustomed to. And because it was opening up a new market for me that I might be able to gain more work from eventually. So that seemed to work okay.
Yeah, good. So yeah, I mean, it's okay to do that, right? To make a lesser charge for drafting services, but like Gabriel was saying, you always do have to acknowledge that you have office expenses, and things like that. So your charges always have to consider that, whether it's drafting or being creative with design, things like that. Consultation meetings.
Yeah. I think part of it also is just because the if you weigh what type of work you're doing, and like I can get a lot more hours in just doing rote work like that where I'm just plugging away. I don't have to think about, it's a nice filler thing. So for me, the lesser rate, it's not very much less, so it's still, you know, a reasonable amount, but
Yeah.
it fills the day without me having to figure out what else I'm going to do or doing research or other things that I don't get paid for. So it makes up for itself easily.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. And I talked earlier about, you know, being competitive with the market and stuff, but there's something that should not fall into that. At least that's my opinion anyway, but that's experience, because I can remember how I was when I was in my 20s doing design work and where I'm at now, and I'm in my early 60s. And I do believe with the experience that I've created over the years that has value. So that price should be worth that value. Any other questions? Yeah, Larry, go ahead.
I had one job come up that is, well, it's really two. That's the whole deal. It's basically the same house, but it's in two different locations. So I know I'm going to have different terrain, and I'm going to have to tweak them and make them look different. So I'm not going to just charge one price for one home, and the second one is going to have to be, in my opinion, less money, but it's not going to be the same. I'm not going to do 2 for 1, just because. Yeah, I'm not doing 2 for 1.
Mhm.
There are reuse fees that I've worked with before, but this isn't that situation.
Yeah. So do you ever do things like you realize you may not get paid for something, but you're going to kind of do it just to kind of show that you have an interest in the project, and you can kind of show a little bit of idea of what you can provide to your client, like maybe some sketches, concepts, charrettes, something like that? Does anybody ever anybody ever done that at one time or another? Not you would do it all the time, but yeah, Pete, yeah. Johnny,
I have not
Larry,
been paid. I learned early on, okay, that you need to get a pretty serious down payment up front. And this kind of seems bad to me, but that's the only way I know to do it now. After having liens filed on people, you're not going to get the plan until I get the money. Okay, that's just what it is. If you guys have a better way to work it, then please let me know, because that deal didn't work. Okay, so I'll send you the plans, and I'm expecting you to be honest and fair and send the money whenever I send the plans. And then they go, nah, I decided, no, I didn't like it, so I'm not going to pay you. Okay, so then I have to file a lien. And filing the lien, I used to get liens. They had them on the shelf at the blueprint shop, and it's not that easy anymore. I don't know how it is for everyone else, but in Texas, you pretty much have to go right through an agency to do that.
yeah. Well, you bring up a point there that I'd like to share too, that something I learned very early on in my career was not asking for money up front to get started on a project. And I've been fortunate in 40 years. I can recall I believe it's only 3 times that I did not get paid on a project. And the first 2 were very early in my career. And I can remember I was so excited about getting a project. And it's like, wow, this is cool. You know, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll get some preliminaries together and send them out, and never got paid for the job. The clients just kind of walked away. And it wasn't so much that they didn't like the design or anything. It just something happened and their plans changed. But they didn't honor the time that I spent. And so I didn't get paid for those. Those were 2 that happened very early in my career. And I remember talking to someone and they're saying, well, you need to charge up front. And because what that does is it lets you know that the client is serious about doing their project when they put money up front and get started on it. So I learned that lesson very early on in my career. And the third one that happened was just a bad project that went from bad to worse. And I was more happy that it ended than I was discouraged about not getting paid.
That's actually how I do it. I always, sometimes depends on the person's. If the person is a new client, I charge the visit. And as they go with me, I mean, I take it from the total amount of the project that's going to be. But that's the reason why I do it, because what you're saying, if they pay it, they're serious. They want it done. And it has happened every time. Every time I do that, they pay. They're great clients. I always ask for half up front. And again, I mean, all those clients that actually are like that are very educated, and it's a straightforward design. You don't go back and forth that much.
Yeah.
Like the ones that actually, buy for the price and everything are the ones who actually ask for more. You don't understand the time or respect the time that you put in the drawings or the design.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it has been my experience also.
Yeah, Steve.
Bernie, I just recently learned Larry said something about filing liens, and I encourage you to do that as much as you can, but be aware that if somebody contests the lien or if they counter sue you for a fraudulent lien, you're going to need to back off, at least in Florida and Texas. I'm assuming it's the same in every state, but I haven't been able to reach out to attorneys in every state yet. I did talk to an attorney in Florida and one in Texas, and they said that because we're not licensed, we're not covered under the lien laws. There's a question as to whether or not we can file a notice to owner and be acted as like a sub trade, but the word I'm getting from the attorneys is that together we need to maybe try to address that at the legislative level. But at the same time, I'm with Larry. I filed liens in the past and nobody contested it, and they saw it as an opportunity. Now, theoretically, they don't have to pay that lien until they have to do something with the property. But in most cases for us, the next thing they're going to do is get a mortgage, and the mortgage is going to want the property to be free and clear. So I'm going to continue working on learning more about why we can't file liens as unlicensed design professionals. It has something to do with the way the laws are scripted, I guess. But also, I want to say that Larry also, was very stern in that he does not, you don't get the plans unless I get paid. And in the AIBD designer docs, which you can get to by logging into your account at aibd.org/login, it'll be a link on the right-hand side under, I think, quick links. The agreement, I recently had a garage that I turned into an ADU for a client. And I got my deposit, but the bulk was when they got their construction drawings and went in for permit. And then I had like a 10% retainer for after the permit was issued. And I didn't get my bulk when I gave them the construction drawings and they went in for permit. And so when they had comments from the building department, I wrote and said, well, I don't progress to the next phase until I've been paid for the last phase. And they texted me and said, show me in the agreement where it says that policy. And I'm like, oh. Because our agreements that we provide in the designer docs are all Word documents. So we have the ability to go in and edit them, but I don't like to edit. I don't like to work, period. So when I can edit less, that's less work. And so I was like, geez, I wonder where I did come up with that policy. Is it's just in my head. And if not, I should edit the document. So when I went back and looked into the designer docs, I looked at the agreement that I picked, which was one of the standard designer agreements. And sure enough, in the payment section, I think it was paragraph number 5, it states that the designer will not progress to the next phase until the prior phase has been paid for. And so I sent him a picture of that, and I got paid in 2 days. I used Square. They used a credit card. I got paid within 24 or 48 hours, and we did the revisions that the pardon me, the building department was asking for, and we moved on. So take a look at those designer docs and kind of compare them to what you're using. But of course, like any other legal document, you're going to want to get a local attorney to look at them as well. But I guess that's all I have to say about that, that I was saved by AIBD's documents.
That's a good story. And I appreciate what you said there about the liens too. So thank you for that. Excuse me. So if we can go ahead and get ready for the coffee cup giveaway. And while you guys are getting that ready, I wanted to add something to what Steve was saying there about pricing along or charging along the way, or getting collection fees paid along the way of a design. Something that I do that I try to pay a lot of attention to is when I'm ready to send the next invoice out to a client, I really try to pick the moments when I feel like my client is really excited the most. For example, I do not send them a bill when they are getting the project bidded out by their builder, because that's typically a time when they're a little bit discouraged when they start to find out what it's going to cost for them to build the project. But I like to send an invoice out after renderings, because it's, wow, this is really cool, and their excitement levels up. And so anyway, I pick certain moments in time when I send an invoice out, and I look for that moment when I feel like my client is in a high moment during their roller coaster ride of designing their home. And Steve and Garrett, when you guys are ready, if we can do a coffee mug giveaway.
Permission settings got reset, so I've got to turn all my allowances back on. And here we go.
Okay, and then
All right.
Raven, good seeing you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey Bernie.
Good.
Go ahead. Give them the spiel, Raven.
Okay, so here are the mugs that we're giving away today. And we're giving these AIBD member coffee cups away. They're not available in stores or online. The only way to get one is to be part of our amazing community and renew your membership on time. So we've got, I believe, 42 members who renewed their membership on time this last month, and we'll have 3 lucky winners today. So we're going to spin the wheel and see who's first.
Alrighty. And also, something I have figured out with mine is that I recommend hand washing them instead of the dishwasher. It's starting to have some weird little issues, and I'm pretty sure it's from the bouncing around in the dishwasher. So we recommend hand washing these. All right, so I'm going to spin the wheel. Whoops. We got at least a couple people in here. I don't have any bias on who wins, except for if you're actually here or not. So I hope one of you that is here, that is on the list. Kevin is one of them. I know that. All right, first is Cara Batello.
Nice.
Our second winner is John Stoddard.
No.
And our last winner for this month is Bob Kirkman. Sorry, Kevin. I was rooting for you.
Me too.
All right, so Cara Batello, John Stoddard, Bob Kirkman, congratulations. For the rest of you, keep renewing, and you'll be on the list.
Hey,
Dennis
Garrett,
recommended it at all. What's up, Steve?
Bernie, let me bust in here. And Garrett and I have started talking about a new game. We're trying to refine it. but it's going to be a part of the midweek vibe that we send out on Wednesdays. Which I apologize, we didn't get one out this week, but we were kind of busy with other things. So
Yeah.
it's my fault for not having them written far enough in advance that we can have them in queue. But yeah, keep an eye on your midweek vibe. Garrett and I are working on a new game. We haven't figured out what to offer as a prize yet, but you know, keep an eye out. It's going to be fun.
Okay, cool. Look forward to
How
that.
about, how about a license, Steve? Okay. You talked about license in the beginning. Is there no licensing process for us?
What do you mean, Larry?
Well, you mentioned earlier about whenever it came to a lane and having a license. Or Steve did.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not hearing a question there though.
Okay, so if there are people that have a license, what is holding us back from getting a license?
Nothing. In Texas, you just need to verify your experience and apply for it. Experience is not a qualification in every state. However, I have qualified in the state of Colorado with experience, but I did it like 25 years ago. Theoretically, I have more experience now, but I've never taken the test. So it's possible that my window of opportunity has expired. I can't remember if they gave me until 2023 or 2032. I may be dyslexic. So
License, a test
but
by
there's nothing stopping you other than, finding a place. And it could be that you can, if you're in a state that doesn't have experience as a qualification, it's possible that you could go to a state like, I know Pennsylvania used to, I don't know if they still do. Colorado used to, that's where I qualified. California used to, I'm pretty sure Texas still does. And it might be that you can qualify and take the exam and pass in one state and then reciprocate if it's a state that gives the NCARB exam. For example, Oklahoma, when I researched it last, had a provision for experience, but they would not give you the NCARB exam with experience. They would give you an Oklahoma state exam, which would not reciprocate. Also, I've learned that the other option, and I know of people who did this during COVID, and I know of people who did this back in the 2008 recession. They went back to school. They went online and got their architectural degree and then qualified that way. So there's nothing stopping you but you. But I know that I have never done it because I just don't want to fill out paperwork every time I go to work in a state. And I don't care to do hospitals or shopping centers. So I've chosen to and I've been able to work in 11 different states doing, single family homes and remodeling. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to find out about one that I just recently did that was finished about 6 or 8 months ago in Western North Carolina. So it from the photographs, it's up on a hill. So I'm hoping that they're okay. No erosion. But it was on the side of the hill, which scares me a little.
There
Did that
is
answer
some,
your question, Larry?
I think so.
Well, it sounded like the license would be issued through NCARB, which is AIA.
No, the license is issued individually by state. So once you get licensed, like for example, we have a member in Ohio, Andy Rail, who's a part of our high performance homes team. He's licensed in 23 different states, but the state that he originally got licensed in, I believe, was Ohio, and then he's reciprocated from there. So by having the NCARB exam under your belt, theoretically, it's supposed to be the same exam from state to state. However, there might be some states like Florida that would have additional provisions to the exam that would address wind loads, and states like California who might have additional provisions that address seismic. But for the most case, the exams are pretty identical. So that's who gives the test. But the licensure itself, you apply to the state licensing board. So I think, it's been a while since we've checked the links. Sometimes the licensing boards change their links, but we own architecturelaws.com, and that goes to a PDF document that you can download and connect to each of the different state architectural boards. Architecturelaws.com.
Thank you, Steve. I have a new question up. What additional services do you offer that impact your costs but provide clients with an appealing reason to choose you? So what types of things do you do that are kind of maybe unique or make yourself more than or different than what other people might do? And again, I'll get us started off here while you guys are kind of thinking about that question. But how many of you have, well, let me kind of explain our building department here in El Paso County and Colorado Springs. There are a tremendous amount of documents that have to go along with submitting a set of plans to the building department. And those documents can vary anywhere from site plan specialties created by an engineer, geohazard reports, mechanical design, things that typically are maybe not done in your office, but are done by others. So when you're communicating to a client, you're saying, yeah, my fees are so and so, but you almost have to tell them what they're coming up against, because in order for them to get a permit, they got to go through all these other documents. So your fee is not the only fee that's going to get them that permit. So do you share that with your client? Do you tell them, do you help them through those steps that they have to get all those documents together? And do you coordinate that, or do you leave them, you just tell them, hey, you need to get this done, and leave it up to them?
We generally tell them, and a lot of times can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mary. Very good.
Because my thing was messed up before. Yeah, we tell them, and a lot of times that scares them to death because there are a lot of things, and generally we end up coordinating it. It's not always fun, but it's easier because if you tell them to do it themselves, they usually don't do it right. And they need you anyway. So that is a big extra service that we do provide here in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Anybody else encounter that? Yeah, Larry?
I offer the permitting as an extra service, not just the initial permit, but the submission of the plan application.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say no right up front, and then after they're about 10 minutes into the application, then they call and they go, yeah, we want you to do this. So, but I do offer it as an extra service, but I sure want them to know up front. No, the permit is the application. That's not it.
Yeah.
My area is strictly in construction documents.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. I may sound like a real hard ass this morning, but that's if all of you hadn't figured it out, that's the way the world is. Okay.
Yeah. That's okay, Larry. You're not a hard ass. You're pretty soft. You get to know you.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know Colorado Springs isn't the only city that has all these tremendous amount of documents that have to go in. I'd like to hear your guys' story. What do you have to prepare to get a permit? Yeah, Kevin, go ahead. You're muted there, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now? So like Larry, I hold a contractor's registration here in my state, and I will offer the services of pulling the permit for them, meeting the inspectors, just taking them right out of the process. If it's for, an owner, do a lot of work for contractors, and they usually handle their own permitting. Also have some contractors that don't get along well with the local building officials. And again, I will offer the service of doing permitting for them, filling out the application, meeting the inspectors, going over the plans. And other fees that could be involved, anything for commercial wise for architectural or structural certifications. And I just did a large mill conversion, and I told the owners right out, I'm not field measuring this. So we're going to have to pay for a company to come in and laser measure this whole project. And so that's another fee that would be on top of, my regular rate.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah. So when we're talking about, special services for clients, I just kind of remembered, and I want to kind of tie in AIBD and our board of directors. We had a strategic planning session a few months ago, and the number one thing that we came up with in regards to AIBD and AIBD members was that focus on retaining the members that we already have, retention, focus on that. And I apply that same thing to our clients, that we want to be sure to always retain our clients for future work and such. So what types of things do you do to hold that retention of your own clients? I mean, do you do things for them after the project's all done, during the project, and what types of things do you do? What types of services do you do for them to help retain your clients and keep that relationship going? You send them flowers, check up on them, see how they're doing. You take them out to dinner. I know you do some. Yeah, was it? Larry, did you put your hand up again?
Yes, I did. I have had requests to do it like, we're never supposed to use the architect word, but to do periodic inspections of their project and see if it's going according to plan, and to approve their pay application before they send it to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Those are extra services. And there are some architects that will not work with any other way. I mean, it's the full from beginning to end deal, or they're not going to do it.
Yeah. Well, Larry, when you finish a house for somebody, do you ever follow up with them, see how they're doing? And
yes, I do.
Okay.
I had recently I just had this one lady that she came and she said, okay, I've got this piece of property. Really, the only drawings that I need are drawings that are verifying that's what on the lot. That's what is on the lot is this, because the property is a very high dollar area in Austin, and the house was built in 51. And so there were a lot of things that were pretty unusual.
Uh-huh.
And I told her, I said, okay, I can tell just by standing here on your back porch. I'm looking at this other building, and the amount of slab exposure you have is maybe 6 inches in the front, and it's like nothing in the back. So I'm going to draw it just like that. I'm not going to fudge for you. And she was another one that said, oh yes, okay, but I don't need you to do the permit. And then boom, then she says, no, I need you to do the permit. So
yeah.
Oh, and then on top of that, with all the electronic money now, it was like, okay, here's the plan. I always give a full size and a half size, 2 sets in my world, but I have them in hand. And so I expect, before these plans leave my hand, I'm expecting you to have a check or a credit card. And she said, I've got, Venmo. Well, I've done Zelle. I don't know how many deals there are. This Venmo. And so I just went out to the truck and I set up a Venmo account and did it. But it wasn't anything. It was easy. And then I researched it, and It seems like Venmo and Zelle and Wallet and all these companies are owned by the same company, PayPal. So
Mhm.
that money it's you can get it, but I would suggest putting it into your bank and like immediately. It's not covered by FDIC or anything else. It's just loose and floating. So
Yeah.
I think
Okay. Good. Thanks. Thanks, Larry. Steve, did you have your hand up from Lear, or is that new?
I had it up from before.
Okay. All right.
But now that you've given me the microphone again, I was looking up one of the things I just recently learned from one of our D members through one of our cohort minigame groups that we've created, and they provide cost estimates. Once the plans are complete and approved, they'll go through and do a cost estimate. I've heard of others doing material takeoffs. I know a lot of times when you buy stock plans, the designers will provide material takeoffs. I actually, at one point in my career, worked out a deal with a local lumber yard that I got 2%. So, and it was basically whatever they paid their outside salespeople. So I became an outside salesperson, but I didn't actively go out selling building materials. I just offered it to the builders and homeowner builders that I worked with in my office. So I think I made somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 one year just selling building materials, the window packages, the framing packages, and so forth. But it is a lot of work. Doing material takeoffs, it's easier now than back in the day. I have this little wheel. Matter of fact, I found it the other day. I had this little wheel that I would roll around the plans, and it would tell you how many feet of wall you had.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
So those are the old school ways of doing calculations. But I was working on getting a link, and I found it, and I'll put it in the chat box. But if you Google opportunities for building designers and then AIBD blog, there should be a series that pops up where we had a committee years ago sat down and actually created, I think, 20 or 22 different possibilities, like what I just explained: permit expediters, HERS raters, all the different opportunities that you have with the knowledge and skills that you already have to be able to offer either additional services or upcharges for your clients. So I'll go ahead and post that link. But if you Google opportunities for building designers and then AIBD blog, if you just Google opportunities for building designers, it comes up, but you got to scroll down a little bit. But if you add AIBD blog for me and an incognito tab, it came up as number one on the search. So let me know how that works out for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that link. And I know we're getting to the top of the hour here, but Jenny, I hope you don't mind, but I wanted to hear a little bit from you because I think you do some really neat things for your clients. And I just wanted to know, do you have builder clients, and do you go through that retention or do things for your clients to retain them for future work and stuff? And what types of things do you do? Because when I've talked to you before in the past, you do some really cool things for your clients, and I would like everybody to be able to hear that because it's really, really nice to hear what you do.
Oh, thanks, Bernie. Yeah, what we like to do is, when the client's home is finished and we're going to go over and do a photo shoot, typically I like to bring a bottle of dry farm wine because that's an organic wine with no preservatives and it's healthy for you. And I also order a Norwex cleaning starter kit, which is also non-toxic cleaning products to help them get started on the right foot, with the cleaning of their home. And then we also provide them with the photos once we do a photo shoot, so we can enter it in design comps and that sort of thing. We'll provide them with all the digital photos. And sometimes we do a custom photo book for them too. We also, like on Valentine's Day, we've sent out, we love our clients gifts and just,
cool.
Remind them, year after year about us and ask for referrals at that time too.
Yeah.
And just the other night, I had a photographer that we recently worked with to do some photography for our website. We're updating our website of our team. And she contacted me and said, I have been asked to find a house that we can photograph, a casual living space, and it's urgent need, and they're desperate to find, a project that can work for the magazine. And do you have any clients that would be willing to, let us come in and shoot kind of last minute? And I had contacted 4 clients, and right away 3 of them replied that they definitely would allow that to happen. So, that they just keep hearing from me, and would love to have me come over, and I try to become friends with them, just through the process, and we become really good friends with most of our clients, so we can call on them at any time. Oh, and somebody asked what wine is called. Dry Farm Wines. You can just Google or do a search for Dry Farm Wine. It's shipped in from California to me, and they source it from all over the world.
Wow.
Not U.S. wines, because U.S. wines allow toxins to be put in it. So I don't give wine from U.S. Yeah.
Well, cool. We'll see you guys. Just what Jenny was saying there. There's so much that we can do for our clients, and maybe it's not the retention part of it, but what you said there, Jenny, you receive recommendation or referrals from them.
Yes.
And so it's not only is it a fun thing to always stay in contact with your friends, because you have created friends when you work through a design with them, but you also do a little bit of marketing while you're doing that. So there's so much things. I mean, I know you guys can probably think of a lot more after we get done with the coffee chat, but just kind of consider that there's so much you can do for your clients that will help you out, help your clients out, and just develop a really good lifetime relationship with them. So if anybody has anything else, please go ahead and share. If not, we are at the end of our coffee chat for this month. I want to thank everybody for attending, your comments, helping us out, and helping everybody out learn from what each of us do. And I just look forward to our next month's coffee chat again. For those on the East Coast, stay safe. Let us know. We're here to help if there's anything we can do. If you do hear of anything where of people that need help with design work or something that could be, maybe a volunteer work or something like that, I'm communicating with a few members of AIBD. So if you feel comfortable with that, reach out to me and we'll see if there's something that we can do to help out. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good weekend.